What if the only thing standing between you and your first million isn't your background, your education, or even your current bank account, but a single shift in how you think? The wealthy have been hiding this mental framework for decades, but today you will discover exactly how millionaires program their minds for success. Before we dive in, hit the like button if you're ready to think differently about money. Drop a comment telling me where you're listening from the world, and subscribe because you won't want to miss a single insight from the next hour. Trust me, every minute of this audiobook could be the difference between staying where you are and finally breaking through to your first million. Look, I'm not here to waste your time with feel-good fluff. In the next hour, I'll walk you through the exact mental patterns, daily habits, and thought processes that separate millionaires from everyone else. You'll learn the 12 core principles that wealthy people use to attract opportunities, make better decisions, and build lasting wealth. By the end of this audiobook, you'll have a complete blueprint for rewiring your mind to think like the ultra-successful. I used to believe that wealthy people were just lucky or had some unfair advantage. I worked hard but stayed broke for years. Then I discovered something that changed everything. Millionaires don't just think differently about money. They think differently about everything. When I started applying these same mental frameworks, my income tripled within 18 months. The change wasn't in my circumstances first. It was in my mind. And here's the thing, if it worked for me, it can work for you too. Chapter 1. The Abundance Mindset Foundation. The first secret millionaires know that broke people don't. Here's what separates millionaires from everyone else, and it's not what you think. It's not their background, their connections, or even their starting capital. It's how they see the world when they wake up each morning. Most people open their eyes and immediately start calculating, do I have enough money for rent? Can I afford groceries this week? What if something goes wrong? Their brain is wired to spot what's missing, what's dangerous, what could go wrong. But millionaires, they wake up scanning for what's possible. While you're worried about your bills, they're excited about opportunities. While you're thinking, I can't afford this, they're thinking, how can I create this? This is what psychologists call your wealth thermostat, and most people have theirs set way too low. Think about your home thermostat. If it's set to 70 degrees and the temperature drops to 65, what happens? The heat kicks in automatically. Your wealth thermostat works the same way. If your financial comfort zone is set at $50,000 a year, and you suddenly make $80,000, your brain will find ways to bring you back down. You'll overspend, make bad investments, or sabotage opportunities. Not because you're stupid, but because your thermostat is programmed for scarcity. Here's the thing about scarcity thinking. It's not just about money. It's about everything. Scarcity thinkers believe there's only so much success to go around, so much love, so much opportunity. If someone else wins, they lose. If someone else gets promoted, there's less chance for them. But abundance thinkers, they know something different. They know that opportunities multiply when you share them, that success breeds more success, that there's always another way to win. Let me show you how this plays out in real life. When scarcity thinkers see a successful business, they think the market's too crowded. When abundance thinkers see the same thing, they think there's proven demand here. When scarcity thinkers lose a job, they panic and take anything. When abundance thinkers lose a job, they see it as redirection towards something better. When scarcity thinkers see someone driving a nice car, they think show off or must be nice. When abundance thinkers see it, they think good for them and that's possible for me too. The difference isn't in their circumstances, it's in their programming. And here's the good news. You can reprogram your wealth thermostat starting today, but not with the usual positive thinking nonsense. I'm not going to tell you to stand in front of a mirror and say, I am rich 50 times. That's not how your brain works. Your brain needs evidence, proof, real examples. So instead of generic affirmations, you're going to train your brain to notice abundance that's already there. Here's your first exercise. For the next 24 hours, every time you catch yourself thinking about what you don't have, pause and find 3 things you do have. Not big things, small things. Clean water, a roof over your head, the ability to read this. This isn't about gratitude. It's about training your reticular activating system. That's the part of your brain that filters what you notice. Right now, it's probably set to scarcity mode, constantly scanning for problems, threats, and limitations. But when you consistently look for what's working, what's possible, what's abundant, your brain starts showing you more of it. It's like buying a red car and suddenly seeing red cars everywhere. They were always there. You just weren't programmed to notice them. Here's exercise number 2. Every morning before you check your phone, before you look at your bank account, before you start your day, ask yourself this question: what opportunities am I going to notice today? Not, I hope something good happens. Not, maybe I'll get lucky. But what opportunities am I going to notice? This programs your brain to scan for possibilities instead of problems. And here's the final piece. Millionaires don't just think abundantly about money. They think abundantly about everything. Time, energy, relationships, ideas, solutions. They believe there's always another way, always more resources, always another opportunity. When you start thinking like this, when you reset your wealth thermostat, something interesting happens. You stop competing with others and start collaborating. You stop hoarding opportunities and start creating them. You stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, what can I give? Because here's the ultimate abundance secret. The more value you create for others, the more wealth flows back to you. It's not karma, it's economics. When you solve problems, when you make life easier, when you add value, people pay you for it. Your wealth thermostat isn't set by your bank account. It's set by your beliefs about what's possible. And what's possible is about to change. Chapter 2, Investment Thinking over Employee Thinking. Why millionaires never trade time for money. Here's the brutal truth about why most people stay broke. They're stuck in what I call the time trap. They think the only way to make more money is to work more hours, get another job, hustle harder. But millionaires figured out something different. They figured out how to make money while they sleep. Think about it this way. You have exactly 24 hours in a day. That's it. You can't create more time. You can't save time. You can't invest time and get more back. But millionaires don't think about time. They think about leverage. While you're trading your hours for dollars, they're building systems that generate dollars without their hours. While you're asking, how much do I make per hour? They're asking, how much do I make per system? This is the difference between employee thinking and investor thinking. And it's the difference between being middle class and being wealthy. Employee thinking says, I need to work harder to make more money. Investor thinking says, I need to work smarter to make money work harder. Employee thinking says, my income depends on me showing up. Investor thinking says, my income depends on my systems working. Employee thinking says, I trade my time for money. Investor thinking says, I trade my money for time. Here's what this looks like in practice. An employee thinks, I need a raise. An investor thinks, I need an asset. An employee thinks, I need more hours. An investor thinks, I need more efficiency. An employee thinks, I need job security. An investor thinks, I need income diversity. But here's where it gets interesting. You don't need to quit your job to start thinking like an investor. You just need to start seeing everything through the lens of assets versus liabilities. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. Sounds simple, right? But most people have it backwards. They think their house is an asset. But if it's costing them money every month, it's a liability. They think their car is an asset. But if it's depreciating and costing them insurance, it's a liability. Real assets are things like rental properties that generate monthly income, businesses that run without you, stocks that pay dividends, courses that sell while you sleep, patents that pay royalties. These things work for you instead of you working for them. Now here's the mindset shift. Every time you're about to spend money, ask yourself, is this an asset or a liability? Will this put money in my pocket or take money out? That $5 coffee? Liability. But what if you learn to make better coffee at home and invested that $5 daily into index funds? Over 20 years, that's over $50,000. Same $5. Different thinking. That new car payment? liability. But what if you bought a reliable used car and invested the difference into real estate? The real estate appreciates. The car depreciates. This is compound thinking, and it's how millionaires multiply their wealth. They don't just save money, they invest it. They don't just earn income, they create income streams. They don't just buy things, they buy things that buy them more things. Here's the compound effect in action. Let's say you invest $200 a month starting at age 25. At 7% annual return, you'll have over $500,000 by age 65. But if you wait until age 35 to start, you'll have only $240,000. Same monthly investment, but time did the heavy lifting. Millionaires understand this, so they start early, they start small, and they let compound interest work its magic. They know that the first $100,000 is the hardest because you're doing most of the work. But after that, your money starts doing the work. But here's what most people miss. Compound thinking isn't just about money. It's about everything. Your skills compound. Your network compounds. Your knowledge compounds. Your reputation compounds. Every book you read, every skill you learn, every relationship you build, every system you create compounds over time. The question is, are you building assets or liabilities in every area of your life? Your health is either an asset or a liability. Your relationships are either assets or liabilities. Your skills are either assets or liabilities. Your habits are either assets or liabilities. Millionaires evaluate every decision like an investor. What's the return on investment? Not just financial return, but time return, energy return, opportunity return. Before they take a meeting, they ask, what's the ROI? Before they learn a new skill, they ask, what's the ROI? Before they start a relationship, they ask, what's the ROI? This isn't cold or calculating. It's strategic. Because millionaires know that their most valuable resources aren't unlimited. Their time, their energy, their attention, their capital. So they invest these resources where they'll get the highest return. Here's how to start thinking like an investor today. Look at your current situation and ask, what systems can I build? What processes can you create that work without you? What knowledge can you package? What problems can you solve systematically? Maybe you're great at organizing. You could create a course. Maybe you understand social media. You could manage accounts. Maybe you're good with numbers. You could do bookkeeping. The key is, can you systemize it? Because here's the ultimate investor mindset. You're not just building a business. You're building a machine that creates value, generates income, and runs without you. That's how millionaires think, and that's how they win. Stop trading time for money. Start trading value for money. Stop building jobs. Start building assets. Stop thinking like an employee. Start thinking like an investor. Now that you understand how millionaires think about assets and systems, let's talk about where they find their biggest opportunities. Because every millionaire is really in the same business, the problem-solving business. Chapter 3, Problem-Solving as Profit Creation. Every millionaire is really in the problem-solving business. Here's something that will blow your mind. Every millionaire you can think of, from the tech billionaires to the real estate moguls, they're all in the exact same business. The problem-solving business. They just solve different problems. Amazon solved the problem of convenience. Netflix solved the problem of entertainment access. Uber solved the problem of transportation. McDonald's solves the problem of fast, cheap food. The bigger the problem they solve, the bigger their bank account. But here's what most people get wrong. They think they need to solve massive, world-changing problems to make money. Climate change, world hunger, disease. These are huge problems, but they're not your problems to solve right now. The real money is in solving the small problems. The daily frustrations, the little inconveniences that drive people crazy. The problems that make someone say, there has to be a better way. Or, I hate when this happens. Think about it. Someone made millions solving the problem of tangled earphones. Someone else made millions solving the problem of finding a ride at 2 a.m. Someone made millions solving the problem of ordering food without talking to humans. These aren't life-changing innovations. They're life-improving solutions. And that's where the money is. Here's the secret. Problems are everywhere. They're hiding in plain sight. Every complaint is a business opportunity. Every frustration is a profit center. Every time someone says, I wish there was, or why don't they make, they're literally handing you a business idea. But most people are problem blind. They hear complaints and think, that's just life. They experience frustrations and think, nothing I can do about it. They see inefficiencies and think, that's how it's always been done. Millionaires hear the same complaints, experience the same frustrations, see the same inefficiencies, but they think differently. They think, how can I fix this? They think, what would a solution look like? They think, who else has this problem? This is called value creation thinking, and it's the foundation of every fortune. Because money doesn't come from nowhere, it comes from value, and value comes from solving problems. Here's how to train your brain to spot profitable problems. Start listening differently. When your friends complain about something, don't just nod and agree. Ask yourself, how many people have this same problem? When you get frustrated with a process, don't just accept it. Ask yourself, what would make this easier? When you're waiting in a long line, that's a problem. When you can't find a parking spot, that's a problem. When you're trying to eat healthy but don't have time to cook, that's a problem. When you want to learn something but can't find good information, that's a problem. Every problem is a market, and every market is an opportunity. But here's the key. You don't need to create perfect solutions. You just need to create better solutions. Better than what exists now. Easier, faster, cheaper, more convenient, more reliable. Look at ride sharing. It didn't solve transportation. Public transportation and taxis already existed. It just made transportation more convenient. Look at food delivery. It didn't solve hunger. Restaurant and grocery stores already existed. It just made food more accessible. The biggest opportunities aren't in creating something completely new. They're in making something existing work better. Here's your problem spotting system. Start carrying a notebook or use your phone. Every time you encounter a problem, write it down. Every time you hear someone complain, write it down. Every time you think, this is annoying, write it down. Don't filter, don't judge, just collect. Because the problems that seem obvious to you aren't obvious to everyone. The problems that seem small to you might be huge to someone else. After a week, look at your list. Which problems keep coming up? Which ones affect the most people? Which ones are people spending money to solve? Even if the current solutions aren't great, these are your opportunities. Now here's where it gets interesting. You don't have to solve every problem yourself. You can connect people who have problems with people who have solutions. You can improve existing solutions. You can make complex solutions simpler. You can make expensive solutions cheaper. The internet is full of people making money by solving problems they didn't create solutions for. They just organized information better, made processes smoother, connected buyers with sellers, explained complicated things simply. Here's the mindset shift. Stop seeing problems as obstacles. Start seeing problems as opportunities wearing disguises. Stop asking why me when things go wrong. Start asking who else deals with this? Because here's the truth. The problem that's driving you crazy right now is driving thousands of other people crazy too. And if you can solve it, even partially, even temporarily, even just make it less annoying, people will pay you for it. The biggest mistake people make is thinking they need to solve problems perfectly. You don't. You just need to solve them better than they're being solved now. Every business, every product, every service, every fortune started with someone looking at a problem and thinking, I can fix this. Not, I can fix this perfectly. Just, I can fix this better. That's how millionaires think, and that's how they win. They don't wait for perfect solutions. They create better solutions. They don't wait for massive problems. They solve daily problems. They don't wait for inspiration. They listen for frustration. Because frustration is just opportunity talking, and millionaires have learned to listen. Now that you understand how millionaires spot opportunities and problems, let's talk about their secret weapon for building wealth. Something most people struggle with, but millionaires have mastered. Chapter 4. Long-term vision over short-term gratification. The sacrifice that separates millionaires from everyone else. Here's the uncomfortable truth about wealth. Millionaires are willing to be uncomfortable today so they can be comfortable tomorrow. While everyone else is buying what they want right now, millionaires are buying what they want later. This isn't about living like a monk or depriving yourself of everything. It's about understanding the difference between 10-day thinking and 10-year thinking. And most people, they're stuck in 10-day thinking. 10-day thinking says, I want it now. 10-year thinking says, I want it forever. 10-day thinking says, I deserve this. 10-year thinking says, I deserve better. 10-day thinking says, I'll figure out later. 10-year thinking says, I'll build it now. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. You see a nice car. Your 10-day brain says, I work hard. I deserve this. Your 10-year brain says, what else could I do with this money? You want to eat out. Your 10-day brain says, I don't feel like cooking. Your 10-year brain says, what am I really paying for here? The difference isn't in the decisions themselves. It's in the time frame you're considering. Most people make decisions based on how they feel right now. Millionaires make decisions based on how they want to feel 10 years from now. This is called delayed gratification, and it's the single most powerful predictor of financial success. But here's what most people don't understand. It's not about never having what you want. It's about getting what you want strategically. Think about it this way. You can have that expensive coffee every day, or you can invest that money and buy the coffee shop. You can lease that luxury car, or you can invest that money and buy 3 cars with cash later. You can buy those designer clothes, or you can invest that money and buy a wardrobe that makes those clothes look cheap. The question isn't, can I afford this? The question is, what am I not buying because I'm buying this? Every dollar you spend on something today is a dollar that can't compound into tomorrow. Every purchase you make is a choice, not just about what you get, but about what you give up. Here's the math that millionaires understand. $100 spent today is just $100. But $100 invested today at 7% annual return becomes $200 in 10 years, $400 in 20 years, $800 in 30 years. That $100 purchase actually costs you $800 in opportunity. But this isn't just about money, it's about everything. Your time, your energy, your attention, your habits. Every choice you make today shapes who you become tomorrow. You can binge watch Netflix tonight, or you can learn a skill that increases your income. You can scroll social media for an hour, or you can read a book that changes your perspective. You can complain about your situation, or you can do something about it. The compound effect works in every area of your life, not just your bank account. Your health compounds, your relationships compound, your knowledge compounds, your reputation compounds. But here's the thing about compound effects. They're invisible at first. You don't see the results immediately. You plant the seed, water it, tend it, and for months, nothing visible happens. Then one day, you have a tree. Most people quit watering the seed because they don't see the tree. They want instant results, immediate gratification, visible progress. But millionaires understand that the best results are the ones you can't see yet. They invest in stocks that won't pay off for years. They build businesses that won't be profitable for months. They develop skills that won't be valuable until later. They build relationships that won't be useful until the right moment. This is patience as a strategy, not patience as waiting. They're not sitting around hoping something happens. They're building something that will happen. Here's how to develop 10-year thinking. Before you make any significant decision, ask yourself, where will this lead me in 10 years? Not how will this make me feel today, but how will this affect my future self? That subscription service you're thinking about. Where does it lead in 10 years? That course you're considering. Where does it lead in 10 years? That job you're offered. Where does it lead in 10 years? Most people make decisions based on convenience, comfort, or impulse. Millionaires make decisions based on trajectory, direction, and destination. They ask themselves, is this moving me toward my goals or away from them? Is this building my future or borrowing from it? Is this making me stronger or weaker? Here's the secret about delayed gratification. It's not about denying yourself everything. It's about choosing your sacrifices carefully. because you're going to sacrifice something. Either way, you'll either sacrifice now for later or sacrifice later for now. You can sacrifice the comfort of spending today for the freedom of wealth tomorrow, or you can sacrifice the freedom of wealth tomorrow for the comfort of spending today. But you can't have both. The question is, which sacrifice serves your future self better? Here's your long-term thinking exercise. Write down where you want to be in 10 years, not just financially, but in every area of your life, your health, your relationships, your skills, your reputation, your impact. Now look at your current habits, your current choices, your current priorities. Are they building toward that future or away from it? Because here's the truth. Your future self is being created by your current choices. Every decision you make today is a vote for the person you're becoming. Millionaires vote for their future selves, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's boring, even when no one else understands, because they know that temporary discomfort creates permanent comfort, and permanent comfort is what wealth really is. Now that you understand the power of long-term thinking, let's talk about something that can accelerate your wealth building faster than any other strategy, something millionaires invest in before they invest in anything else. Chapter 5, Network Building and Relationship Capital. Your network is your net worth. Here's how millionaires build theirs. Millionaires don't just build wealth, they build networks. And their networks build their wealth. It's not what you know, it's who you know, and more importantly, who knows you. Think about the biggest opportunities in your life, the best jobs, the most profitable deals, the game-changing introductions. I guarantee they didn't come from a job board or a Google search. They came from someone you knew, someone who knew someone who thought of you when the right moment came. This is relationship capital, and it's the most valuable currency millionaires understand. While most people focus on collecting money, millionaires focus on collecting relationships. Because relationships compound, just like money, but faster. Here's the difference between how millionaires network and how everyone else networks. Most people network when they need something. Millionaires network when they don't need anything. Most people ask, "What can you do for me?" Millionaires ask, "What can I do for you?" This is called the value-first approach, and it's the foundation of every powerful network. Instead of trying to get something from people, you try to give something to people. Instead of asking for favors, you do favors. Instead of taking, you're giving. But here's what's brilliant about this approach. When you give first, people remember. When you help someone without expecting anything back, they feel obligated to help you later. When you make someone else successful, they want to make you successful too. This isn't manipulation. It's human nature. People like people who help them. People trust people who add value. People recommend people who make them look good. Now here's where it gets interesting. The most valuable relationships aren't always the obvious ones. Everyone thinks they need to know the CEO, the millionaire, the influencer. But some of the most powerful connections are what sociologists call weak ties. A weak tie is someone you don't know well, but who knows different people than you do. Your friend's cousin who works in a different industry. Your neighbor who went to a different school. Your barista who's also a freelance designer. These weak ties are bridges to completely different networks, different opportunities, different worlds. They know things you don't know. They see opportunities you don't see. They have access to people you don't have access to. The research shows that most people find jobs through weak ties, not close friends. Most breakthrough opportunities come from unexpected connections, not obvious ones. Most game-changing introductions come from people you barely know, not people you talk to every day. So, how do you build these relationships strategically? First, you stop thinking about networking as collecting business cards and start thinking about it as creating mutual value. Every person you meet has problems, challenges, goals, dreams. Your job isn't to solve all of them. It's to understand them. Because when you understand someone's problems, you can connect them with solutions. When you understand someone's goals, you can help them achieve them. Here's your relationship building system. Every time you meet someone new, ask yourself 3 questions. What do they need? What do they want? Who do I know who can help them? Maybe they need a good accountant. And you know one. Maybe they want to learn photography, and you know a photographer. Maybe they're looking for a new job, and you saw a posting that fits. These small connections create big relationships. But here's the key. You don't keep score. You don't help someone because you expect something back. You help them because that's who you are. You help them because helping people is good business. You help them because what goes around comes around. Now let's talk about masterminds, because this is where millionaires really accelerate their success. A mastermind is a group of people who meet regularly to help each other solve problems, share opportunities, and grow together. The power of a mastermind isn't just in the advice you get, it's in the accountability you create. When you're part of a group that meets regularly, you show up differently. You set bigger goals. You take more action. You follow through more consistently. But here's what makes masterminds really powerful. They create what I call opportunity circulation. When someone in your mastermind finds a great opportunity, they share it with the group. When someone needs help, the group helps them. When someone succeeds, everyone celebrates and learns. This creates a multiplier effect. Instead of just your eyes and ears looking for opportunities, you have 5, 10, 20 people looking for opportunities for you. Instead of just your network, you have access to everyone's network. And mentorship. This is the ultimate relationship investment. Instead of trying to figure everything out yourself, you learn from someone who's already figured it out. Instead of making every mistake yourself, you learn from someone who's already made them. But here's the thing about mentorship. It's not about finding someone to teach you everything. It's about finding someone who's one step ahead of you, someone who's solved the problem you're trying to solve, someone who's been where you want to go. And the best mentors aren't necessarily the most successful people. They're the most accessible people. The person who's willing to answer your questions, share their experience, and invest in your growth. Here's your network building action plan. Start where you are. Look at your current relationships, your current connections, your current circle. Who could you help? Who could you introduce to someone else? Who could you support in their goals? Then expand your circle, one person at a time. Join groups related to your interests. Attend events in your industry. Participate in online communities. But don't go there to get, go there to give. Because here's the truth about relationship capital. It's not built overnight. It's built one conversation at a time, one favor at a time, one connection at a time. But when you build it right, it pays dividends for life. Your network is your net worth, because your network is your opportunity pipeline, your resource pool, your success accelerator. Build it wisely, build it generously, build it strategically, because the right relationship at the right time can change everything. Now that you understand the power of relationships, let's talk about something that separates millionaires from everyone else when it comes to making decisions, their relationship with risk. Chapter 6, Risk Management and Calculated Risks. Why millionaires take more risks but lose less money. Here's something that will mess with your head. Millionaires take way more risks than broke people, but they lose way less money. How is that possible? Because they've cracked the code on something most people never figure out. The difference between smart risk and stupid risk. Most people think risk is binary. Either you're risky or you're safe. Either you're a gambler or you're conservative. But millionaires know that's nonsense. They know that not taking risks is the biggest risk of all. Think about it. Staying in a job you hate because it's safe, that's risky. Keeping all your money in a savings account because stocks are dangerous, that's risky. Not learning new skills because you might fail, that's risky. Not starting a business because you might lose money, that's risky. Because here's what broke people don't understand. Inflation is eating your money, technology is eliminating jobs, and the economy is constantly changing. What feels safe today might be a death sentence tomorrow. Millionaires figure this out, so they don't avoid risk, they manage it. They don't eliminate uncertainty, they profit from it. They don't play it safe, they play it smart. Here's the difference. When broke people see risk, they see danger. When millionaires see risk, they see opportunity. When broke people encounter uncertainty, they freeze. When millionaires encounter uncertainty, they research. But here's the key. Millionaires don't take risks blindly. They don't throw money at random investments. They don't quit their jobs without a plan. They calculate, they research, they prepare, This is called calculated risk, and it's completely different from gambling. Gambling is hoping for luck. Calculated risk is stacking the odds in your favor. Gambling is emotional. Calculated risk is logical. Let me show you how this works. Say you're thinking about starting a side business. A gambler would quit their job, max out their credit cards, and hope for the best. A calculated risk taker would start small, test the market, build revenue, then scale up. Same opportunity, completely different approach. Same potential upside, completely different potential downside. Here's how millionaires calculate risk. They ask 3 questions. What's the worst that could happen? What's the best that could happen? What's the most likely to happen? Then they prepare for the worst, plan for the best, and expect the most likely. This way, they're never caught off guard, never betting everything on one outcome, never risking more than they can afford to lose. But here's where it gets interesting. Millionaires have a different relationship with failure. Most people see failure as the end of the world. Millionaires see failure as expensive education. Most people try to avoid failure at all costs. Millionaires try to fail fast and cheap, because here's the truth. Failure is inevitable. You're going to fail at something, somehow, sometime. The question is, are you going to fail small or fail big? Are you going to fail early or fail late? Are you going to fail forward or fail backward? Millionaires fail forward. They fail small, they fail fast, and they fail cheap. They take lots of small risks instead of one big risk. They test ideas before they bet everything. They learn from every failure and apply those lessons to the next opportunity. This is called the portfolio approach. And it's how millionaires think about everything. They don't put all their eggs in one basket. They diversify. They don't bet everything on one stock. They buy multiple stocks. They don't rely on one income source. They create multiple income streams. But diversification isn't just about money, it's about everything. Your skills, your relationships, your opportunities, your knowledge. The more diverse your portfolio, the less risky your overall position. Here's your risk assessment framework. Before you make any significant decision, run it through the risk calculator. What's the maximum you could lose? Can you afford to lose that amount? What's the probability of losing it? What's the probability of gaining? But here's the twist. Also calculate the risk of not taking the risk. What happens if you don't start that business? What happens if you don't make that investment? What happens if you don't learn that skill? What happens if you don't take that chance? Because inaction has consequences too, and sometimes those consequences are bigger than the consequences of action. Sometimes the riskiest thing you can do is nothing. Now let's talk about building your risk tolerance, because this is where most people get stuck. They want to take bigger risks, but they're scared. They want to make more money, but they're afraid of losing what they have. Here's the secret. Risk tolerance isn't built overnight. It's built gradually, through experience, through education, through small wins and small losses. You start with risks you can handle and gradually work your way up. Think of it like working out. You don't start by lifting 300 pounds. You start with 50 pounds, then 75, then 100. You build your strength gradually. Same with risk tolerance. You build it gradually. Start with small, calculated risks. Risks where the downside is manageable and the upside is meaningful. Maybe it's taking a course that costs $500, but could increase your income by $5,000. Maybe it's starting a side business with $1,000 instead of $10,000. Each small risk you take, each small win you get, each small loss you survive, builds your confidence. It shows you that risk isn't as scary as you thought. It shows you that you can handle uncertainty. It shows you that you can recover from setbacks. And here's the compound effect of risk tolerance. The more comfortable you become with small risks, the more you'll spot opportunities that others miss. The more you understand risk, the more you'll see that most risky opportunities aren't as risky as they seem. Because here's the final secret. Millionaires don't take more risks because they're braver. They take more risks because they're better educated. They understand markets. They understand probability. They understand human psychology. They've done their homework. They've learned from their mistakes. They've studied successful people. They've built their knowledge base. Knowledge doesn't eliminate risk, but it makes risk more manageable. So here's your action plan. Start building your risk tolerance today. Take one small calculated risk this week. Maybe it's reaching out to someone you want to meet. Maybe it's applying for a better job. Maybe it's investing $100 in a stock you've researched. The amount doesn't matter. The action does. Because every time you take a calculated risk, you're building your millionaire mindset. Every time you face uncertainty and push through, you're developing your wealth-building muscles. Risk isn't the enemy of wealth. Fear is. Fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of uncertainty. But millionaires have learned to make friends with fear, to dance with uncertainty, to profit from what others are afraid of, because on the other side of fear is everything you want. Chapter 7. Continuous Learning and Skill Development. The one habit every millionaire has in common. If you study any millionaire, any billionaire, any ultra-successful person, they all have one habit in common. It's not working for 18-hour days. It's not having rich parents. It's not getting lucky breaks. It's this: they never stop learning. While most people finish school and think they're done learning, millionaires think they're just getting started. While most people read their last book in college, millionaires read their next book this month. While most people know what they knew 5 years ago, millionaires know things they didn't know 5 minutes ago. This is a learning advantage, and it's the secret weapon of wealth building. Because here's what most people don't understand. In today's economy, your knowledge becomes obsolete faster than your phone. The skills that got you where you are won't get you where you want to go. Think about it. 5 years ago, nobody knew about TikTok marketing. 10 years ago, nobody knew about cryptocurrency. 15 years ago, nobody knew about social media management. The highest paying jobs today didn't exist when you were in school. But millionaires saw these changes coming because they're always learning. They're always scanning the horizon, always upgrading their skills, always staying ahead of the curve. While everyone else is playing catch-up, they're already playing the next game. Here's the difference. Most people learn to get a job. Millionaires learn to create value. Most people learn what they need to know. Millionaires learn what they want to know. Most people learn when they have to. Millionaires learn when they get to. This is called the growth mindset, and it's the foundation of every fortune. Instead of thinking, I don't know how to do that, you think, I don't know how to do that yet. Instead of thinking, I'm not good at this, you think, I'm not good at this yet. Instead of thinking, I can't afford it, you think, how can I afford it? That little word, yet, changes everything. It turns limitations into possibilities, obstacles into opportunities, problems into projects. It keeps your mind open, your options flexible, your future expandable. But here's where most people get learning wrong. They think learning means going back to school, getting another degree, sitting in classrooms. That's not learning. That's credentialing. And credentialing is expensive, time-consuming, and often irrelevant. Real learning is targeted, practical, and immediate. It's learning what you need to know to solve the problems you're facing, to create the opportunities you want. It's just-in-time learning, not just-in-case learning. Here's how millionaires approach learning. They identify a problem they want to solve or an opportunity they want to pursue. Then they learn everything they need to know to make it happen. They don't learn everything about everything. They learn everything about something. This is called strategic learning, and it's incredibly powerful. Instead of random knowledge that might be useful someday, you're gaining focused knowledge that's useful today. Instead of general education that covers everything, you're getting specific education that solves something. Let me show you how this works. Say you want to start an online business. You don't need to get an MBA. You need to learn marketing, sales, customer service, and basic accounting. You don't need 4 years of school. You need 4 months of focused learning. Or say you want to invest in real estate. You don't need to become a contractor. You need to learn market analysis, financing options, property valuation, and legal basics. You don't need a degree in real estate. You need practical knowledge about real estate. This is skill staking, and it's how millionaires build their expertise. They don't become experts in one thing. They become competent in many things. They stack complementary skills, related knowledge, connected abilities. A millionaire entrepreneur might know marketing, plus sales, plus psychology, plus technology, plus finance. They're not the best at anything, but they're good at all the things that matter for their business. Here's your learning framework. Before you learn anything, ask yourself, how will this make me money? Not, is this interesting? But, is this profitable? Not, will this make me smarter? But, will this make me richer? Because here's the truth. Not all knowledge is created equal. Some knowledge pays, some knowledge doesn't. Some skills are worth millions. Some skills are worth nothing. Some education opens doors. Some education closes them. The highest paying skills today are sales, marketing, copywriting, coding, data analysis, project management, leadership negotiation. These skills are valuable in every industry, transferable across careers, and always in demand. But here's what's brilliant about skill development. It compounds. Every skill you learn makes the next skill easier to learn. Every book you read makes the next book faster to read. Every course you take makes the next course more valuable. This is a knowledge compound effect, and it's more powerful than financial compound interest, because knowledge doesn't depreciate. It appreciates. Knowledge doesn't get stolen, it gets shared. Knowledge doesn't run out, it multiplies. The more you know, the more you can learn. The more you can learn, the more you can earn. The more you can earn, the more you can invest. The more you can invest, the more you can grow. Now here's the investment mindset about learning. Millionaires don't see education as an expense. They see it as an investment. They don't ask, how much does this cost? They ask, what's the return on investment? A $1,000 course that increases your income by $10,000. That's a 1,000% return. A $500 book that gives you one idea worth $5,000. That's a 1,000% return. A $100 skill that saves you 10 hours a week. That's priceless. But here's the key. You have to apply what you learn. Knowledge without application is just entertainment. Learning without doing is just procrastination. Information without implementation is just accumulation. Millionaires are learning machines, but they're also doing machines. They learn something, they try something, they adjust something, they improve something. They're constantly cycling between learning and doing and learning. Here's your continuous learning system. Read for 30 minutes every morning. Not fiction, not news, not social media. Books about skills you want to develop, industries you want to enter, problems you want to solve. Listen to podcasts during your commute. Watch educational videos during lunch. Take online courses during weekends. Turn dead time into learning time. Turn downtime into uptime. Turn waiting into gaining. But most importantly, teach what you learn. When you teach something, you learn it twice. When you explain something, you understand it better. When you share something, you remember it longer. Start a blog, create videos, give presentations, mentor someone. The act of teaching forces you to organize your knowledge, clarify your thinking, and deepen your understanding. Because here's the final secret about learning. It's not about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the most curious person in the room. It's not about knowing everything. It's about knowing how to learn anything. Millionaires aren't necessarily smarter than everyone else. They're just more committed to getting smarter. They're not born with more knowledge. They're just better at acquiring knowledge. They're not naturally more skilled. They're just more dedicated to developing skills. The person you'll be in 5 years depends on the books you read, the courses you take, the skills you develop, the knowledge you gain. Your future self is being shaped by your current learning habits. So here's the question. What are you learning today that will make you money tomorrow? What skills are you developing that will pay dividends for decades? What knowledge are you gaining that will compound into wealth? Because in the knowledge economy, your mind is your most valuable asset, and the best investment you can make is in yourself. Chapter 8, Money as a Tool, Not a Goal. The millionaire's relationship with money will shock you. Here's something that's going to completely flip your understanding of rich people. Millionaires don't love money. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. Most millionaires have a completely different relationship with money than you think. While broke people worship money, millionaires use money. While broke people chase money, millionaires chase what money can do. While broke people think money is a goal, millionaires know money is just a tool. This is the millionaire money mindset, and it's the opposite of what most people believe. See, most people think rich people are obsessed with money, counting every dollar, hoarding every penny, thinking about nothing but numbers in their bank account. But here's the reality. Millionaires think about money the same way you think about a hammer. You don't love your hammer. You use your hammer. You don't collect hammers for fun. You collect hammers to build things. You don't worship your hammer. You grab your hammer when you need to fix something. That's exactly how millionaires think about money. Money is a tool, nothing more, nothing less. It's a tool for building the life they want, for creating the freedom they crave, for solving the problems they face. But here's where it gets interesting. Money is an amplifier. It doesn't change who you are. It reveals who you are. It doesn't create your values. It amplifies your values. It doesn't make you good or bad. It makes you more what you already are. If you're generous, money makes you more generous. If you're selfish, money makes you more selfish. If you're wise, money makes you wiser. If you're foolish, money makes you more foolish. This is why some people get rich and become miserable, and others get rich and become fulfilled. It's not the money, it's what the money revealed about them. It's not the wealth, it's how they use the wealth. Millionaires understand this, so they don't chase money to become someone else. They chase money to become more of who they already are. They don't want money to change them. They want money to free them. And here's the difference. There are two types of spending: freedom spending and status spending. Most people spend for status. Millionaires spend for freedom. Status spending is buying things to impress other people. The fancy car you can't afford, the designer clothes you charge on credit, the expensive watch you wear to show off. Status spending is about looking rich, not being rich. Freedom spending is buying things that give you more time, more options, more opportunities. The course that teaches you a new skill, the assistant that handles your busy work, the investment that pays you while you sleep. Freedom spending is about being rich, not looking rich. Here's the crazy part. Status spending makes you poorer. Freedom spending makes you richer. Status spending takes money away from your future. Freedom spending gives money to your future. Think about it. You buy a $50,000 car to impress your neighbors. That car loses value every day. You invest $50,000 in dividend stocks. Those stocks pay you every quarter. Same money, completely different outcome. But here's what's brilliant about the millionaire mindset. They understand psychology of wealth versus the psychology of appearing wealthy. And these are two completely different things. Appearing wealthy is about what you own. Being wealthy is about what owns you. Appearing wealthy is about your possessions. Being wealthy is about your position. Appearing wealthy is about your image. Being wealthy is about your income. Most people are trying to appear wealthy, so they buy things they can't afford with money they don't have to impress people they don't like. They're broke, but they look rich. They're stressed, but they seem successful. Millionaires are trying to be wealthy, so they buy things that make them money with money they've earned to build the life they want. They might look ordinary, but they're financially free. They might seem simple, but they're secretly rich. Here's the secret. The person driving the 10-year-old Toyota might be a millionaire. The person driving the brand new BMW might be broke. The person wearing the $20 t-shirt might own the company. The person wearing the $200 t-shirt might be in debt, because millionaires know something that broke people don't. Every dollar you spend on status is a dollar you can't spend on freedom. Every dollar you waste on looking rich is a dollar you can't invest in being rich. And here's the compound effect. When you spend money on status, you get poorer. When you spend money on assets, you get richer. When you spend money on liabilities, you create problems. When you spend money on opportunities, you create solutions. This is why millionaires are always asking, will this make me money or cost me money? Not will this make me look good, but will this make me wealthy? Not will this impress people, but will this improve my position? Now, here's the advanced millionaire money strategy. Using money to create more money. This is called leveraging, and it's how rich people get richer. Instead of just saving money, they invest money. Instead of just spending money, they circulate money. Instead of just earning money, they multiply money. They make their money work harder than they do. Here's how it works. You take $1,000 and you have three options. You can spend it on something you want, you can save in the bank, or you can invest it in something that pays you back. Most people spend it and they have nothing. Some people save it and they have $1,000. Smart people invest it and they have $1,000 plus whatever it earned. But millionaires think differently. They ask, how can I use this $1,000 to make $10,000? They don't just want to preserve their money. They want to multiply their money. They don't just want to protect their wealth. They want to grow their wealth. Maybe they buy a course that teaches them a skill worth $10,000. Maybe they invest in equipment that helps them earn an extra $1,000 per month. Maybe they start a small business that generates $2,000 in profit. Same $1,000. Completely different thinking. Completely different results. Here's your money tool framework. Before you spend any significant amount, ask yourself these questions. Will this make me money? Will this save me money? Will this make me more money in the future? If the answer is no to all three, it's a liability. If the answer is yes to any one, it might be an asset. If the answer is yes to all three, it's definitely an investment. But here's the mindset shift that changes everything. Stop seeing money as something to get. Start seeing money as something to grow. Stop thinking about how much you can spend. Start thinking about how much you can multiply. Because here's the truth about millionaires. They don't want money. They want what money can buy. And what money can buy isn't stuff. It's freedom. Freedom to choose, freedom to grow, freedom to give, freedom to live. Money is just a tool that builds that freedom. The question is, are you using your money as a tool, or are you letting your money use you? Because the difference between those two things is the difference between being rich and being broke, between being free and being trapped, between thinking like a millionaire and thinking like everyone else. Chapter 9. Failure as feedback, not defeat. Why do millionaires fail more than everyone else? Millionaires fail more than broke people. Way more. Like, it's not even close. While average people might fail once and give up, millionaires fail 10 times and keep going. But here's the plot twist. That's exactly why they become millionaires. Not despite their failures, but because of their failures. Not in spite of falling down, but because of how they get back up. See, most people think failure is the opposite of success. But millionaires know something different. Failure isn't the opposite of success. Failure is the pathway to success. It's not the end of the story. It's the beginning of the next chapter. This is the millionaire failure mindset. And it's completely backwards from what most people believe. While broke people see failure as proof they should quit, millionaires see failure as proof they should pivot. While broke people see failure as a dead end, millionaires see failure as a detour. But here's what's really wild. Millionaires don't just accept failure. They chase it. They actively look for ways to fail fast, fail cheap, and fail forward. Because they understand something that most people never figure out. Every failure is feedback. Every mistake is a message. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. It's not about what went wrong. It's about what you learned. It's not about what you lost. It's about what you gained. Think about it like this. Imagine you're trying to find a hidden treasure, and you have a map with 100 possible locations. Every time you dig in the wrong spot, you're not failing. You're eliminating options. You're getting closer to the right spot. That's exactly how millionaires think about failure. Every failed business teaches them something about business. Every bad investment teaches them something about investing. Every mistake teaches them something about success. This is called the iteration mindset, and it's the secret sauce of wealth building. Instead of trying to get everything perfect the first time, you try to get something working the first time, then you make it better. Most people spend years planning the perfect business. Millionaires spend weeks launching an imperfect business. Then they improve it based on real feedback from real customers. Most people research for months before making an investment. Millionaires make small investments to test their theories. Here's the difference. Perfectionism is the enemy of progress. While you're trying to make something perfect, millionaires are making something profitable. While you're avoiding mistakes, millionaires are learning from mistakes. But here's the key. Millionaires don't just fail randomly. They fail strategically. They fail with purpose. They fail with limits. This is called failing fast and cheap, and it's a skill you can learn. Failing fast means you find out what doesn't work before you waste too much time on it. Instead of spending 2 years building a business that nobody wants, you spend 2 weeks testing if anybody wants it. Failing cheap means you find out what doesn't work before you waste too much money on it. Instead of investing $50,000 in an untested idea, you invest $500 to test the idea first. Here's how this works in practice. Say you want to start a consulting business. Most people would quit their job, rent an office, print business cards, build a website, and then try to find clients. That's failing slow and expensive. A millionaire would keep their job, send 5 emails to potential clients, and see if anyone responds. If nobody responds, they pivot. If someone responds, they test further. That's failing fast and cheap. Or say you want to invest in real estate. Most people will buy the first property they see with all the money they have and hope it works out. That's failing slow and expensive. A millionaire would analyze 100 properties, make offers on 10, and buy the one that meets their criteria. If the first deal doesn't work, they learn something for the next deal. That's failing fast and cheap. But here's where most people get stuck. They're afraid of being wrong. They're afraid of looking stupid. They're afraid of what other people will think. So they don't try anything, which guarantees they'll never succeed. Millionaires have a different relationship with being wrong. They expect to be wrong. They plan to be wrong. They're comfortable being wrong because they know that being wrong is the fastest way to find out what's right. Here's the mindset shift. Instead of asking, what if I fail? Start asking, what if I succeed? Instead of focusing on what you might lose, focus on what you might gain. Instead of thinking about the downside, think about the upside. But even better, ask, will I learn? Because even if you fail, you'll learn something. Even if you lose money, you'll gain knowledge. Even if the plan doesn't work, you'll know more about what does work. This is how you build resilience, not by avoiding failure, but by changing your relationship with failure, not by never falling down, but by getting really good at getting back up. Here's a resilience framework. When something doesn't work out, ask yourself 3 questions. What did I learn? What would I do differently? What's my next move? Don't ask, why did this happen to me? Ask, what can I do with this? Don't ask, what did I do wrong? Ask, what can I do better? Don't ask, should I give up? Ask, how can I adjust? Because here's the truth about resilience. It's not about being tough. It's about being flexible. It's not about being hard. It's about being adaptable. It's not about never bending. It's about never breaking. Think of a tree in a storm. The rigid tree breaks. The flexible tree bends but survives. Same with people. The rigid person breaks under pressure. The flexible person bends but bounces back. Millionaires are like that flexible tree. They bend but they don't break. They adjust but they don't quit. They pivot but they don't give up. They change direction but they don't change destination. Now here's the compound effect of the failure mindset. Every failure makes you stronger. Every mistake makes you smarter. Every setback makes you more prepared for the next opportunity. While other people are still afraid of their first failure, you've already survived your 10th. While other people are worried about making mistakes, you've already made them and learned from them. This gives you a massive advantage because you know what doesn't work. You know what to avoid. You know what to expect. You're not afraid of the unknown because you've been there before. Here's your failure action plan. Start small, test quick, learn fast. Don't bet everything on one idea. Bet a little on lots of ideas. Don't try to avoid all mistakes. Try to make mistakes faster. Pick something you want to try, something that scares you a little, something that might not work. Then find the smallest, cheapest, fastest way to test it. If it works, great, scale it up. If it doesn't work, great, you learn something. Because here's the final secret about failure. It's not about how many times you fall down. It's about how many times you get back up. It's not about how many mistakes you make. It's about how much you learn from each mistake. Millionaires don't succeed because they never fail. They succeed because they fail better. They fail faster. They fail cheaper. They fail forward, and they fail with purpose. So here's the question. What are you going to fail at today? What are you going to test? What are you going to try? What are you going to learn? Because the biggest failure of all is the failure to try. The biggest mistake you can make is being afraid to make mistakes. The biggest risk you can take is not taking any risks at all. Your next failure might be your next breakthrough. Your next mistake might be your next lesson. Your next setback might be your next setup. The question is, are you ready to fail your way to success? Chapter 10, Systems and Processes Over Hustle. The Millionaire's Secret to Working Less While Earning More. Here's something that's going to destroy everything you think you know about success. Millionaires work less hours than broke people. I'm not talking about once they're rich. I'm talking about while they're getting rich. While broke people are grinding 80-hour weeks. Millionaires are building systems that work without them. While broke people are hustling harder. Millionaires are working smarter. While broke people are burning out. Millionaires are scaling up. This is the millionaire productivity secret. And it's the opposite of what every motivational speaker tells you. They tell you to work harder. Millionaires work systematically. They tell you to grind more. Millionaires automate more. They tell you to hustle. Millionaires build systems. Because here's what the hustle culture doesn't tell you. Hard work without smart systems is just expensive, busy work. Long hours without good processes is just organized chaos. More effort without better methods is just faster failure. Millionaires figured out something that broke people never learn. You can't hustle your way to wealth. You have to system your way to wealth. You can't outwork everyone forever, but you can outsystem everyone forever. Think about it. McDonald's doesn't make the best burgers, but they make the most consistent burgers. Amazon doesn't have the cheapest prices, but they have the most reliable systems. Apple doesn't make the most advanced technology, but they make the most user-friendly systems. Systems beat talent. Systems beat effort. Systems beat luck. Because systems are repeatable, scalable, and predictable. Talent isn't. Effort isn't. Luck definitely isn't. Here's the difference. When you work in your business, you're trading time for money. When you work on your business, you're building systems that make money without your time. When you work harder, you get tired. When you work systematically, you get results. Most people think the goal is to work harder. Millionaires know the goal is to work less. Not because they're lazy, but because they want to work on what matters most. Not because they don't care, but because they care about the right things. This is called a system mindset, and it changes everything. Instead of asking, how can I work harder? You ask, how can I work smarter? Instead of asking, how can I do more? You ask, how can I automate more? Instead of asking, how can I hustle? You ask, how can I systematize? Here's how you build millionaire systems. You start by identifying everything you do repeatedly, every task that happens more than once, every process that takes more than 10 minutes, every activity that requires the same steps. Then you document it. Write down every step, every decision, every outcome. Make it so clear that someone else could do it exactly the same way. This is called creating standard operating procedures, and it's the foundation of wealth. Because here's what happens when you have systems. You can train other people to do what you do. You can automate what doesn't need human input. You can scale what's working. You can improve what's not working. But here's where most people get stuck. They think they're the only person who can do their job right. They think they're irreplaceable. They think they have to do everything themselves. This is the biggest mistake you can make. Millionaires know that if you're irreplaceable, you're also unscalable. If only you can do the work, then you can only make money when you're working. If you're the bottleneck, then you're also the ceiling. So millionaires build systems that work without them. They create processes that anyone can follow. They develop methods that don't depend on their personal involvement. They make themselves replaceable so they can become wealthy. Here's the automation hierarchy. First, you systemize. Then you delegate. Then you automate. Then you optimize. Each level removes you further from the day-to-day work and closer to the strategic decisions. Let me show you how this works. Say you run a consulting business. Level 1, you do all the work yourself. Level 2, you create systems for how the work gets done. Level 3, you hire people to do the work using your systems. Level 4, you use technology to do some of the work automatically. Same business, completely different lifestyle. Same income potential, completely different time investment. Same value creation, completely different personal involvement. But here's the key. You start with the systems, not the people. Most people hire first, then try to train. That's backwards. You systemize first, then you hire people to run the systems. Because here's the truth. Good people with bad systems will fail. Average people with great systems will succeed. Systems are more important than talent. Processes are more important than people. This is why McDonald's can hire teenagers and serve millions of customers consistently. It's not because the teenagers are amazing. It's because the systems are amazing. The systems make average people perform at a high level. Now let's talk about delegation, because this is where most people fail. They think delegation means giving people tasks. But millionaires know delegation means giving people systems. They don't just say, do this. They say, follow this process to do this. Here's the delegation framework. First, you do it yourself and document every step. Second, you do it with someone else and teach them the system. Third, they do it while you watch and correct. Fourth, they do it while you check the results. Fifth, they do it while you focus on something else. This is called the progressive delegation model, and it's how millionaires clone themselves. They don't just hand off work. They hand off systems. They don't just give people jobs. They give people processes. But here's what's brilliant about this approach. When you delegate systems instead of tasks, people can improve the systems. They can find better ways to do things. They can optimize processes. They can make your business better than you could alone. Because here's the compound effect of systems. Good systems get better over time. Every person who uses a system finds ways to improve it. Every iteration makes it more efficient. Every improvement makes it more valuable. While you're working in the business, your systems are working on the business. While you're handling today's problems, your systems are preventing tomorrow's problems. While you're serving current customers, your systems are attracting future customers. Here's the efficiency versus effectiveness principle. Efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. Most people focus on efficiency. Millionaires focus on effectiveness. They don't just ask, how can we do this faster? They ask, should we be doing this at all? They don't just ask, how can we do this better? They ask, what should we be doing instead? Because here's the truth. You can't efficiency your way out of ineffectiveness. You can't optimize your way out of the wrong strategy. You can't systematize your way out of the wrong business. So millionaires build systems around the right activities, not just any activities. They automate what matters, not just what's easy. They delegate what's valuable, not just what's annoying. Here's your systems audit. List everything you do in a typical week. Then ask, does this make me money? Does this have to be done by me? Could this be automated? Could this be delegated? Should this be done at all? Everything that makes you money and has to be done by you, that's your focus area. Everything that makes you money but doesn't have to be done by you, that's your delegation area. Everything that doesn't make you money, that's your elimination area. Because here's the final secret about systems. They don't just make you more productive, they make you more valuable. They don't just save you time, they create you freedom. They don't just reduce your work, they increase your worth. When you have systems, you have assets. When you have processes, you have value. When you have automation, you have leverage. These things can be sold, licensed, franchised, or scaled. Your systems become your competitive advantage. Your processes become your intellectual property. Your automation becomes your profit multiplier. This is how millionaires build wealth that works without them. So here's the question. What are you going to systematize today? What process are you going to document? What task are you going to delegate? What activity are you going to automate? Because the goal isn't to work harder, it's to work systematically. The goal isn't to do more, it's to build more. The goal isn't to hustle forever, it's to create systems that work forever. Your future freedom depends on the systems you build today. Your tomorrow depends on the processes you create now. Your wealth depends on working on your business, not just in your business. Chapter 11, Multiple Income Stream Strategy. Why millionaires never depend on just one source of income. Here's something that's going to make you rethink everything about job security. The average millionaire has 7 different income streams. 7. Not one job, not one business, not one investment. 7 different ways money flows into their life. Meanwhile, the average person has one income stream, one paycheck, one source of money, and they call that security. But millionaires know something different. Depending on one income stream isn't security. It's the most dangerous financial position you can be in. Think about it. If you have one income stream and it disappears, you have 0 income. If you have 7 income streams and one disappears, you still have 6. Which one sounds more secure to you? This is the multiple income streams mindset. And it's the difference between financial fragility and financial stability. It's the difference between surviving and thriving. It's the difference between hoping you'll be okay and knowing you'll be okay. But here's what's crazy. Most people think having multiple income streams is risky. They think focusing on one thing is safer. They think putting all their eggs in one basket is the smart move. They've got it completely backwards. Millionaires know that diversification isn't just for investments, it's for income. They don't just diversify their portfolio. They diversify their cash flow. They don't just spread their money around. They spread their earning potential around. Because here's the truth about the modern economy. Nothing is guaranteed. Your job isn't guaranteed. Your business isn't guaranteed. Your industry isn't guaranteed. The only guarantee is change, and change happens fast. Companies that seemed unstoppable disappear overnight. Industries that seem permanent get disrupted in months. Skills that seem valuable become obsolete in years. The only security is having multiple options. This is called a portfolio career, and it's how millionaires think about income. Instead of one big income stream, they have multiple smaller income streams. Instead of one source of security, they have multiple sources of stability. But here's the key. Not all income streams are created equal. There are 2 types, active income and passive income. Active income requires your time. Passive income works without your time. Most people only have active income. Millionaires have both. Active income is trading time for money. Your job, your consulting, your freelancing, your service business. You work, you get paid. You don't work, you don't get paid. It's direct, but it's limited because you only have so much time. Passive income is money that works without your time. Your investments, your royalties, your rental properties, your automated businesses. You set it up once, and it pays you repeatedly. It's indirect, but it's unlimited because time isn't a factor. Here's the millionaire income strategy. You start with active income to fund passive income. You use your job to buy investments. You use your business profits to create automated systems. You use your current income to build future income. Most people use their income to buy stuff. Millionaires use their income to buy income. Most people spend their money on liabilities. Millionaires spend their money on assets. Most people buy things that cost them money every month. Millionaires buy things that pay them money every month. Let me show you how this works. Say you make $5,000 a month from your job. Most people spend all $5,000 on living expenses. A millionaire might spend $4,000 on living expenses and use $1,000 to buy dividend stocks that pay $50 a month. Next month, they have $5,050 to work with. They still spend $4,000 on living, but now they have $1,050 to invest. Month 3, they have $5,100. Month 4, $5,150. The passive income starts small, but compounds. After 1 year, they might have $600 in monthly passive income. After 3 years, maybe $2,000. After 5 years, maybe $4,000. Eventually, their passive income covers their living expenses, and they're financially free. But here's what's brilliant about this approach. Each income stream reduces the pressure on the others. When you have multiple income streams, you don't need any single stream to be perfect. You don't need any single stream to support your entire lifestyle. This gives you incredible freedom. You can take more risks with your career because you have other income sources. You can start a business because you have other income sources. You can invest more aggressively because you have other income sources. Here's the income stream framework. You want a mix of different types. Some that are immediate, some that are long-term, some that are high maintenance, some that are low maintenance, some that are high risk, some that are low risk. Maybe you have a job for immediate income, a side business for growth income, rental properties for passive income, and investments for long-term income. Different timelines, different risk levels, different maintenance requirements. But here's the key. You don't build all 7 income streams at once. You build them sequentially. You start with one, get it stable, then add another. You master one, then move to the next. You don't spread yourself too thin. You build systematically. Most people try to do everything at once and end up doing nothing well. Millionaires focus on one income stream at a time and build each one properly. They don't rush the process. They trust the process. Here's the sequence. First, you optimize your primary income stream, your job, your business, your main source of money. You make it as profitable as possible. You negotiate raises. You increase prices. You improve efficiency. Second, you create your first additional income stream, something that leverages your existing skills, your existing network, your existing resources, something that doesn't require starting from scratch. Third, you begin building passive income. You start investing. You buy rental properties. You create automated businesses. You start making your money work for you instead of just working for money. Fourth, you continue adding income streams based on opportunities, interests, and market conditions. You become an income stream collector, always looking for new ways to create value and capture value. But here's the psychology of multiple income streams. It's not just about the money, it's about the mindset. When you have multiple income streams, you think differently, you feel differently, you act differently. You're not desperate for any single opportunity because you have other opportunities. You're not afraid of losing any single income because you have other income. You're not dependent on any single person because you have other relationships. This confidence changes everything. It changes how you negotiate. It changes how you take risks. It changes how you make decisions. It changes how you live your life. Here's a momentum effect. Each income stream makes the next income stream easier to build. Your job gives you money to invest. Your investments give you passive income. Your passive income gives you freedom to take risks on new businesses. Your side business gives you new skills. Your new skills give you consulting opportunities. Your consulting opportunities give you industry connections. Your industry connections give you investment opportunities. Everything connects. Everything builds on everything else. Everything creates momentum for everything else. This is a compound effect of multiple income streams. Not just more money, but more opportunities to make money. Here's your income stream audit. List all your current income sources. Then ask, how can I increase this? How can I automate this? How can I duplicate this? What skills does this give me? What opportunities does this create? Then look for gaps. What's missing? What types of income streams don't you have? What opportunities are you ignoring? What skills could you monetize? What assets could you create? Because here's the final secret about multiple income streams. They're not just about making more money. They're about making money more safely. They're not just about increasing your income. They're about decreasing your risk. When you have multiple income streams, you're not just richer, you're more secure. You're not just making more money, you're making money more reliably. You're not just building wealth, you're building anti-fragility. So here's the question. What's your second income stream going to be? What skill can you monetize? What asset can you create? What opportunity can you pursue? Because having one income stream isn't security, it's vulnerability. Having multiple income streams isn't complicated, it's smart. The The question isn't whether you need multiple income streams. The question is, how fast can you build them? Your financial future depends on the income streams you create today. Your security depends on the diversity you build now. Your freedom depends on the multiple ways you learn to create value. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Put your eggs in multiple baskets, and make sure some of those baskets are making more eggs. Chapter 12, Giving and Abundant Circulation. The counterintuitive way millionaires multiply their wealth. Millionaires give away more money than most people make. And the more they give away, the more they seem to make. It's like the universe has some kind of weird accounting system where generosity equals prosperity. But here's the part that'll really mess with your head. They're not giving money away to get more money. They're giving money away because they have more money. And somehow that mindset, that abundance thinking, that generosity habit creates even more abundance. This is the millionaire giving paradox, and it's the opposite of how broke people think. Broke people hold on to money tight. Millionaires let money flow freely. Broke people save every penny. Millionaires share their wealth. Broke people think money is scarce. Millionaires know money is abundant. But here's what's really happening. It's not magic. It's not karma. It's not the universe rewarding good behavior. It's psychology. It's networking. It's reputation. It's opportunity creation. It's all the invisible benefits that come from being known as a generous person. Think about it. Who do you want to do business with? The person who's always looking for the cheapest deal? Or the person who's always looking to create value? The person who's always asking for discounts? Or the person who's always giving bonuses? Millionaires understand that generosity is a business strategy, not a fake strategy, not a manipulative strategy, but a genuine strategy that creates genuine results. When you're generous, people want to help you. When you're generous, people want to work with you. When you're generous, people want to invest in you. This is called the generosity advantage. And it's one of the most powerful wealth-building tools that nobody talks about. Because here's the truth. Business is about relationships. Wealth is about relationships. Success is about relationships. And generosity builds better relationships than anything else. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think giving means giving money. But millionaires know that giving comes in many forms. You can give time. You can give knowledge. You can give connections. You can give opportunities. You can give recognition. Sometimes the most valuable thing you can give someone isn't money. It's an introduction. Sometimes the most generous thing you can do isn't write a check. It's share your expertise. Sometimes the biggest gift you can offer isn't cash. It's your attention. Here's the millionaire giving formula. They give first, then they receive. They provide value first, then they capture value. They help others first, then they help themselves. It's not give-get, it's give-give. And the getting happens naturally. Most people think, I'll be generous when I have more money. Millionaires think, I'll have more money because I'm generous. Most people see giving as something you do after you succeed. Millionaires see giving as something you do to succeed. But here's the key. Millionaires don't just give randomly. They give strategically. They don't just throw money at problems. They invest in solutions. They don't just donate to feel good. They donate to create good. This is called philanthropic investing. And it's how millionaires think about giving. They ask, what impact will this have? What change will this create? What results will this generate? They treat their giving like they treat their investing, with purpose and measurement. Some millionaires give to education because they believe in human potential. Some give to healthcare because they believe in human dignity. Some give to entrepreneurship because they believe in human innovation. They're not just giving money, they're investing in their values. But here's what's brilliant about this approach. When you give strategically, you create strategic relationships. When you invest in causes you care about, you meet other people who care about the same things. When you support organizations you believe in, you connect with leaders who share your vision. These aren't just charitable relationships. These are business relationships. These aren't just feel-good connections. These are value-creating connections. These aren't just donation receipts. These are networking opportunities. Here's how this works in practice. Say you're passionate about education and you donate to a scholarship fund. You meet other donors, other board members, other supporters. Some of these people might become customers, partners, investors, mentors, or say you volunteer your time to help startup entrepreneurs. You meet founders, investors, advisors, service providers. Some of these relationships might lead to business opportunities, joint ventures, consulting contracts, investment deals. Same giving, completely different thinking, completely different results. You're not giving to get, but you're positioned to receive. You're not networking to network, but you're building genuine relationships. Here's the abundance mindset shift. Instead of thinking I can't afford to give, think I can't afford not to give. Instead of thinking I'll give when I have more, think I'll have more when I give. Instead of thinking giving costs money, think giving creates opportunities. Because here's the truth about money. It's not a finite resource. It's not like water in a bucket, where giving some away leaves you with less. Money is more like a river. The more it flows, the more it brings. The more it moves, the more it multiplies. When you hold on to money tight, you stop the flow. When you let money flow freely, you increase the flow. When you dam up the river, it dries up. When you let the river flow, it brings more water. This is a circulation principle, and it's how millionaires think about wealth. They don't hoard money, they circulate money. They don't save money, they invest money. They don't stop money, they accelerate money. But here's the legacy mindset that changes everything. Millionaires don't just think about making money, they think about making a difference. They don't just think about building wealth, they think about building worth. They don't just think about what they can get, they think about what they can give. This legacy thinking creates a completely different motivation. Instead of just working for money, you're working for meaning. Instead of just building a business, you're building a mission. Instead of just creating wealth, you're creating impact. And here's what's amazing. When you have a bigger purpose, you attract bigger opportunities. When you have a meaningful mission, you attract meaningful people. When you have a legacy mindset, you create legacy results. People want to work with people who care about more than just money. Investors want to invest in people who care about more than just profits. Customers want to buy from people who care about more than just sales. Here's your giving framework. Start with what you have, not what you don't have. If you don't have money, give time. If you don't have time, give knowledge. If you don't have knowledge, give connections. If you don't have connections, give attention. The amount doesn't matter. The action does. The size doesn't matter. The consistency does. The gift doesn't matter. The giving does. Because generosity is a habit, not an event. Giving is a lifestyle, not a transaction. Find something you care about, something that matters to you, something that aligns with your values. Then find a way to contribute, to help, to support, to improve, not because you have to, but because you get to. Maybe it's mentoring young entrepreneurs. Maybe it's supporting local charities. Maybe it's volunteering your skills. Maybe it's sharing your knowledge. Maybe it's making introductions. Maybe it's simply being encouraging. But here's the key. Give without expectation, but remain open to opportunity. Give without strings attached, but stay connected to the impact. Give without keeping score, but pay attention to relationships. Because here's the final secret about giving. It's not about the money you give away. It's about the person you become by giving. It's not about the charity you support. It's about the character you develop by supporting. When you give regularly, you become more generous. When you give strategically, you become more thoughtful. When you give meaningfully, you become more purposeful. And people who are generous, thoughtful, and purposeful attract more opportunities. So here's the question. What are you going to give today? How are you going to contribute? What value are you going to create? What difference are you going to make? Because the millionaire mindset isn't just about getting more. It's about giving more. It's not just about accumulating wealth. It's about circulating wealth. It's not just about building a fortune. It's about building a legacy. The more you give, the more you receive. The more you contribute, the more you're rewarded. The more you help others succeed, the more you succeed yourself. This isn't just feel-good philosophy. This is wealth-building strategy. This isn't just nice behavior. This is smart business. This isn't just the right thing to do. It's the profitable thing to do. Your generosity today creates your opportunities tomorrow. Your giving now shapes your receiving later. Your contribution to others becomes your competitive advantage over others. Pause for a moment, take a deep breath. Notice how your mind is already starting to shift. This is just the beginning. Listen to this reminder. Every thought you're having right now is either moving you toward wealth or away from it. Choose consciously. Stop and imagine. What would your life look like if you truly believed you deserve financial abundance? Hold that feeling. Here's something powerful. You're already thinking differently than you were 20 minutes ago. That's the transformation happening. Take a moment to reflect. Which of these principles resonates most with you? Trust your intuition. Remember this. Every millionaire started exactly where you are now. The difference is in the decision to think differently. Pay attention to this. Your mind is being rewired with each concept. This is how lasting change happens. Notice something important. You're not just listening to information. You're installing new mental software. If you're finding value in these millionaire mindsets, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss on our next episode on manifestation and wealth attraction. Remember, thinking like a millionaire isn't about the money in your bank account today. It's about the mental frameworks that create wealth tomorrow. You now have the 12 core principles: abundance mindset, investment thinking, problem solving for profit, long-term vision, network building, calculated risks, continuous learning, money as a tool, failure as feedback, systems over hustle, multiple income streams, and generous circulation. Here's your daily practice. Each morning, choose one of these principles and ask yourself, how can I think like a millionaire about this today? Start with just one. Watch how your reality begins to shift. Hit subscribe to continue reprogramming your mind for wealth. Share your biggest takeaway in the comments below. I read every single one. And remember, your transformation starts with your thoughts. If you enjoy this audiobook, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others. Your support means everything and helps this channel grow and reach more people on their journey to financial freedom.